Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This is the Emerald Paradigm, Lavinia with Lune, and our conversation for today is going to be a good one. We're very excited about this. It's essentially discussing how, the conversation will lead to the body manifesting, disease, right? Is that how they kind of break it down? Dis-ease. We've heard that before,
I love that.
And how important, therefore, then, it's going to take a lot of roots here, but your energy, your thoughts, where you're carrying pain and trauma and all of that will manifest. It's very potential. We don't want to be scary or watch out for this, but it's very important. Yeah. We have encountered in our work and in your life, I'm sure, so many times where we think something or we don't process something appropriately and it manifests in an issue. I see this a lot with women, let's say, with their reproductive system. And, it's a pain, right? It's literally painful. It's messy. It's not an enjoyable, necessary experience. And that's one area of it. There's also the combination of, insecurity, not being in touch with their sexuality, perhaps. All these types of things that can manifest in endo. How do you say that word? Endo.
Oh, you're not going to try to make me say that, right?
Cysts, fibroids, all kinds of different things there. So that's kind of, just a little skimming the surface of like where this conversation is going to be taken to.
We really invite the audience to join us if this resonates, because it really is a science, And, it's interesting. I just made contact with a beloved who I haven't met yet, but he's a cardiologist. And I'm having a cosmic orgasm, and I am saying that.
I love that.
In the fact that he's coming into my circle, our circle, in that imagine the marriage between the allopathic meaning traditional medicine, the science of that, and holistic medicine, having a marriage and being able to merge together to truly look at the mind, body, spirit.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. I'm so excited about that.
I am too.
So amazing.
I am so excited about it. He happens to be an empath, which I think in itself is a gift. But the invitation today, of course, is to join us in looking at the mind, body, spirit, at dis-ease. How interesting is that the word itself, if right, a disconnection or a dis-ease, something that's not easy flowing,
right, in harmony, processing, all of that. The body is an incredible system. The body is divine. I think that we sometimes lose touch with all the representations, even like symbolically, the anatomy of man, the study of the body. Back in the day, the ancient days, was very much tied to the study of the stars, in like the cosmos, and then represented within us. And I think it's very often we lose touch of that. We hate our body. A lot of us, go through periods of like self-hate. Oh my this, my that. I've had a friend, an acquaintance more, who really hated her stomach. She had she's super cute. She's like a little Buddha belly, really adorable. But she hated it so much that she was manifesting, what's it called? The
acid reflux?
Not acid reflux, but a hernia. So like all different things, and it was leading to the stomach protruding more because of all the stuff that was going on within there. It was just, we don't need to prove it. There's so many times.
And it's going to be hard to keep this in levels, like the 1, 2, 3, as we speak, because, just this week, I call my clients or beloveds. I had a new client who quickly is going to become a beloved, come in this week, a tender young age of 21. And as soon as she sat down, the very first thing she said to me was, I just need to let you know that I'm very emotional, that I cry at everything. And there she was, crying, right? And so within a few minutes, I started to talk to her about the solar plexus, the chakra where, empaths primarily connect with people. Is through the solar plexus. Oh, you didn't?
Okay.
You weren't aware?
No.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And this brought her to a jarring cry. And I thought she was just crying. And she said, oh my goodness, you just saved me, because I have gone to numerous doctors. I have had dozens of tests, endoscopes, this scope, that scope. She says, and with digestive issues, and no one's ever known what.
Right.
And there it was, in less than 5 minutes, we were able to, determine,
Focus,
right, that, she has an overextended solar plexus, which most empaths do, but now this was creating digestive issues. Yes?
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Just on like another side of it too, for me, when I work with the sacral is where I tie relationships into, but I pair them. So I think that they work, and that is guts too. It's more reproductive, I guess, but it is lower intestinal, we could say.
Right.
And I see just what you're saying, but it's paired with to their identity in connecting with other people. You know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
So I certainly see that. Definitely. Yeah, it's not just like how I connect, but who am I in these connections? Would that make sense?
Absolutely. I totally resonate with that. And so here we go, what is a chakra? We're sort of taken for granted, right, that the audience knows what that is. And so immediately, because it's important to talk for a moment about that so that we can move into the deeper levels, right? Chakras are known by many names: chakra portals, openings, vortex. Yeah. And I like to call them portals, where energy enters and releases. And they're an energetic part of the spiritual body. If we took an x-ray, although, these days with the technology, right? Maybe they can. But if we took an x-ray, we may not see, of course, the chakras. But trust me, that they are there. It is one of the primary tools within the spiritual body, which healers and shamanic healers work with in introducing and moving energy from the mind, body, spirit. And the essence that the energy is moving is very critical in the science of wellness, because when energy is not flowing through these chakra portals, they become blocked. And that blockage then can create instability and even dis-ease in the body. Yes?
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting to think about the chakras, because although, you're right, we can take an x-ray or something at this point. I'm sure there's something going on. But they do kind of tie to maybe like primary organs too,
Absolutely.
As they manifest.
Yes.
So the crown, the frontal, let's say, like the open, it's almost like a hole in our head at least at some point, right? The third eye, the pineal gland, the throat, the thymus perhaps.
Yes. And the immune system, I feel. I think, yes.
Yeah.
Endro.
Yeah. Or both of
Endro
that.
system.
Another endo, right? Yeah.
We can pronounce things, but that doesn't mean we don't know what they mean.
The heart, the stomach, the gut, the reproductive system, and then the
structure of the body.
Yeah, exactly. So, why I'm bringing this up is that as these blockages come through energetically, or even excess energy, because things can become slow and blocked, but they can also build up and be excessive in different parts as well, we will very often see this manifest through those organs or through,
Absolutely.
you know, the surrounding area. So it might not be the heart, it could be the lung, or it could be, you know, an area of the chest, or even the arms as well. And different, you know, just to like kind of put in a diagram kind of to think of with like how everything relates.
I think, I know that there is an absolute science, as I said earlier, between the spiritual body and the physical body and energy and disease. Like if somebody came to, and this happens all the time, will come to me and tell me they're not sleeping well, or I mean that's almost like a dog, but if I hear a symptom, I can immediately connect it to a chakra.
Yeah, me too.
And even further to a root cause emotional component. And that's the part where people say like, oh my God, did you know that? How did you know that? Well, there is a science, you know, reproductive issues, you know, some kind of violation, you know, the heart, you know, betrayal, abandonment, you know, acute loss, you know, the solar plexus, suppressed emotions, you know, not being bullied, you know, and or empath. So we can really, you know, look at the body and not only see the blockage and see the connection, but more importantly, go to the emotional root cause.
The cause, absolutely.
Which is the solution, the everything.
It's not necessarily, you know, we're not going to say like, oh, don't take your medicine. That's not what we mean. But sometimes we can consider that, you know, I don't want to be on this medicine for the rest of my life. So let me work holistically in unison with, you know, traditional medicine. Let's say, like for me, I have asthma, right? Like I'm not going to give up my inhaler and stop carrying it. Like, should I need my inhaler? I need it.
Right.
But I have to look at like, what is that tied to in my life? How can I emotionally or mentally even work through some of the feelings of like, you know, not being able to breathe? And for me, it's not necessarily tied to my heart, you know, like I've checked in there. I've had sessions with you where you're like, it's not the heart either, you know, so it's a nice confirmation, but it's more of like the environment, you know, like it's difficult for me to breathe in the environment and I have to work through that in points. Sometimes I'm doing amazing, but sometimes I need my freaking inhale, you know, like I still will, you know, so I need to like compare.
And it's not, you know, and I'm glad you brought that up because, we need to immediately put out that because we're speaking about disease and illness, the body, that we're not in any way suggesting that, you know, people leave their medications or, you know, not to consult with their doctors. And yet, however, and, you know, we really emphasize this, I'm a doctor of natural health. And so I can't diagnose either. I can only make recommendations, but I strongly recommend when I see a beloved who is experiencing distress in the mind and the body, we'll leave the spirit for later, to look at the emotional components. And you know what? You may need to be on that medication until we explore what the root cause or causes of that disease is. Absolutely. But can you reconcile and heal those root causes and bring wellness back to the body? I am going to say absolutely yes.
I believe that. Yes. I 100% believe it.
Absolutely. I not only believe it, I know you do, but I've been a witness to it. And by the way, you know, of the many testimonials, you happen to know one, which is Lori. You know, she's a walking testimonial to what this work of emotional healing can do. Chronic MS, CAS, you know, a walker, crutches and and heavily, you know, taking medication to support her. And after doing incredible emotional work, plus connecting to her creative soul energy, which is like the icing on the cake, complete wellness.
Oh my God, she's amazing. She's
complete,
amazing.
You know, wellness to the point no braces, no this, no medication, you know. And so how could this happen?
I love listening to her talk about that. It's so inspiring. And the one thing that stands out where she always says is that she's like, but I was diagnosed, all these diagnoses. She's like, but I never took it on. Right. She didn't deny it. She wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to take that medicine. Too, but she didn't take it on as her identity.
Exactly.
I think that a diagnosis is huge. Like to have an idea, okay, all right, let me work with that. Okay, I can understand that. You know, we need that. It's important. But not that it's like, oh, now you're sick, or now this is you for life. You know, like, excuse me, but like, you know, like, no, don't let anybody push.
I love that you're bringing that up, Lune, because again, you know, we hope we're influencing you to explore, or at least to take it under contemplation, because, you know, there's a great power when. And God bless, I love physicians. I just said, you know, look, we need them. You know, if you broke, God bless, if I broke an arm, you know, or if I had my head slashed, I would need medical attention that holistically we may not be able to solve. So, you know, bless them. However, it's in the diagnosis and the disempowerment that happens with that, which is what you're describing. Right. I'm sick now.
Fear comes in, so the reaction comes quick, so you go with everything, and it's like, it's a whirlwind. My brother actually last summer was diagnosed with cancer. It happened so quickly. They brought him in. They were like gonna do a biopsy. They ended up like taking out a whole you know, like, I don't want to like give it away too much, but like they did a surgery that he didn't even know that they were gonna do. And then he was in chemo for the whole summer. So my whole summer was driving him to and from chemo, getting him groceries, doing Reiki for him, you know. And he's not closed off, but he's definitely not out there with crystals and Reiki on his own. But I'm like, here, put this one here, and doing stuff. And it was, what I'm trying to say there, I guess, is that whirlwind of fear that comes sometimes from a diagnosis like that sometimes we don't process it the whole way. So we're not saying don't do, you know, what they're telling you to do, but like give yourself a moment to process things too, and look at like, where is this coming from?
What is it inviting? What is it inviting you? And if we marry the holistic side, then you have some choices, which is to do some serious exploration, emotional and spiritual exploration, and see what this condition, this ease may be asking you to look at, to reconcile with, to unveil. You see?
Yeah.
So suddenly you go from not having any choices, a verdict,
right,
of a diagnosis. The choices, pills, surgery, or you know, terminal, right, or we can start opening up those incredible doors of, could there be a correlation? Could this be emotionally driven? And the answer is, I am radical with this. 90 to 95% of the time, it is
absolutely
emotionally driven. I need that. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
That 5% to part 3.
yeah, definitely.
You know,
I think it's what's kind of the beauty of this too is like when you have I think working with a person would be ideal. Like, to, you know, what you said, somebody came, you found it, and right there we've got a place we can focus, we can work on it, we can process that. But there's a beauty in the fact that this is not like unknown knowledge, you know, like there are many books. There, even if you had absolutely no clue and you were like, okay, my stomach's bothering me, or okay, you can type into Google metaphysical stomach ache, metaphysical headache, migraine, and just start to get an idea of like where that might come from. Louise Hay, we've talked about her book.
What a pioneer, what a master. You know, of course, almost everybody who's under the holistic umbrella knows who she is to some degree or another. How she was a testimonial of for herself first. You know, being a spiritual counselor, developing cervix cancer, not ever getting treatment for it, realizing that there was an emotional violation in her sacral chakra.
Right.
And then turning that around to, you can heal your life, which is I think, the dictionary.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a great app that she has. It's like associated with that. So if you can have it on your phone and like look it up for people. It's really good, like convenience. Oh, convenience here is always good.
Absolutely. And so that's the first step. Is, can't there be a correlation? Could it be something more than just the body decaying, aging, genetics, food?
Right.
And by the way, is there some credence to that?
Of course.
There's some, but we need to look at the people who are 90, 100 years old, who live in third world countries and don't need the nutrients that we do. And by the way, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be conscious about our foods, but sometimes we just put the emphasis on genetics or hereditary or, they're poor eaters. And that's where it stops.
In tying into that, instead of maybe genetics, can we consider that maybe from an ancestral kind of lead in, like a karmic or a family tree of dealing with things a certain way? So, everyone gains a lot of weight, let's say, and it's like, okay, we might consider that genetics, but is it more tied to this like emotional pattern? Yeah.
Love it. Yes. And I get like crazy passionate with this stuff, because I say, do we realize that we have a predisposition for almost every conceivable disease, never mind that genetically, we do have a disposition. And all that means is that there's a certain cells that have the probability of, converting themselves into a disease. But when we look at families, isn't it interesting how, say, certain members, siblings will develop a disease and others don't? If it's a disposition, then it should be across the board. Now,
you would think, right?
What makes that one sibling, say, develop it and others don't? Now we should look at the emotional composite.
Right.
What are they experiencing? Are they stressed? Do they have anxiety? Are they worried? Do they have resentment? Blah, blah, blah.
Are they giving too much? Are they not receiving?
Do they have abandonment issues? Insecurity issues?
Are they isolated? Are they lonely?
Yes.
Like, you could go forever.
Right. And by the way, as we made that quick list, everybody has a little bit of something.
Sure.
So we're not really talking about, look, we all have bad days,
right?
Moments. We're definitely not claiming that we're perfect, but we're not talking about little moments. We're talking about heavily, energetically holding on to carrying these emotions, from childhood or from a traumatic experience.
And most likely not dealing with them. They're most likely suppressed.
And not dealing with
right.
it. And not dealing with it.
So it's not like, I had a bad day, I need to cry. It's sending it back down or wherever it's kind of like getting tucked into. It's a lot. I see it so very much with like a lot of people in my life, and you want to help them so badly, but at the same time it's like, we can't force people to change. We can only, like you said, like leave them some crumbs, and hope and encourage. So I hope that this sends something to you guys to like consider if you're going through anything, or if somebody you love ours, that it takes time and care. There is, I think, a nurturing environment that has to come in, or not. I'm not saying that correctly, but it's not always. I don't want to say not always tough love that brings it out, but usually from my experience, that tough love and that force can be even digging in the heels even more to remove or release those kind of things. We have to create a safe environment for those things to come out with non-judgment. It's not like what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Like that kind of thing. I think that can when we see someone going through something and we just want to like shake them, like, let it go, let's talk, open up, whatever. It can be really, it doesn't work sometimes. I don't know. I don't even know why my mind went there, but it was just like
You're right though, which again brings us sort of into the holistic arena, like why healers so in demand. And it's because healers, not every healer, but healers for the most part do more than just apply healing. You know, they give space for individuals to express themselves.
Right.
They spend some time in trying to connect some dots, the way I call it, you know, to try to create a map, if you allow, whatever, of seeing, you know, okay, you know, this is happening, or this happened, this is happening in the body right now, and sort of create, you know, you could see a trail of where things come from.
Absolutely.
And that is so important for the individuals because, well, they have an understanding, but they also have an empowerment in that you're not just told, well, I guess you got to live with what you have. You know, I'll try to do the best I can by giving you a little energy work. But now inviting the individual to step in into a proactive, right? Stance of releasing, of doing an inventory, of letting go, right?
Absolutely.
Of forgiveness, of shifting. These are all steps that will guarantee, right, someone to step into a different space. Right.
It has to be a discipline that they take on. It's not just a, okay,
it's not a magic pill.
Yeah, it's not. And it's usually, you know, I've seen things happen like in a day where shifts change dramatically and the ball is rolling in this very beautiful place of empowerment and understanding and all of those things. But at the same time, we can't expect it to happen overnight for every single case. Right. You know, like when it comes to the work is what I'm trying to say. Like if I am a person who, let's say, I don't know, like was repressing something and I had this repression, it was manifesting. It's not just acknowledging the feeling, but it's then instead of every opportunity I have that I might have repressed before, I need to think of a new way or and act, like walk the walk of the new way of how I'm going to live from that perspective to create flow, to keep the flow going, you know? And I love what you said about you know, the guide, like the map, kind of like, okay, we see this here, and I think I lean very heavily on the chakras for that kind of stuff because they do talk to me together, you know, like I can see this one's under, this one's or you know, under energized, this one's over energized. Okay, here's the conflict, we need to get these working together, this one's getting backed up because this one's blocked here. And that can be a few different things. It might not just be, okay, I need to express myself, but I also need to know who I truly am, or I need to forgive, or I need to speak from a place of forgiveness and understanding and not like, oh, I gotta fight everything or whatever, you know. So there's a lot that goes into it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that it is a life-changing thing. Like, you change.
Yes.
You have to, but you have to impart it on yourself, too. It's not like a, oh, I was changed. It's like a, oh, shit, I'm different, and I gotta be this different version.
And there is many paradoxes in the spiritual, holistic realm, is that's the whole reason why there's imbalances in the first place.
It's a scream, it's an attention. Hey, we need to deal with this.
And that's what I meant earlier by the fact that we can choose to believe that we're going to automatically develop conditions because of age, because of decay, or, well, we can realize that there's people that are 90, 100, you know, if we look at ancient scriptures of, you know, from different spectrums, people used to live in late into the hundreds, you know, 400, 300, 700, right?
I've read that too.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, of course, in our timeline, it sounds like, what? You know, we're lucky we get to 100, right? Right? But it's because we don't believe we can. We put a lot of emphasis on mortality, on the physical structure, decay,
aging, fighting aging, like it's like the worst thing in the world.
And we haven't been invited to recognize that the reason why it happens, we're not talking about wrinkles, you know, because the body decays externally. But again...
Decay. You're getting me with the decay. It's like, oh God, okay. I get it. No, right. I like it, but it's like pretty hardcore.
I was gonna start laughing now. Well, the body goes through a transformation, right?
Aging, it's ripening.
But it doesn't mean that we have to develop disease,
right? No.
In order for it, right?
But it's a self-hatred too. Like that can come in very often. Like, oh, like I had a very vain mother, so like it was her getting older was like not fun for her, and it weighed on me, you know. It made me have this image of like, oh, I must, I can't, if somebody looks at somebody who looks like this and I look like this, then I'm, like all those like jealousies and insecurities and blah blah blah, and every cream in the world and every which I do love my creams, so don't get me wrong.
I love to,
but it's a process. It's not a fighting. It's like, let's do this right,
Actually, it's nurturing.
It is.
It's saying that you love yourself, that you want to nurture yourself and take care of yourself, right?
I think. Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah.
I put creams on all the time, but I don't put them on. With that feel like, oh my goodness. Let me just,
it's not working.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I go through this whole ritual of loving myself. The scents.
Lotion,
pretty,
the whatever, the makeup, the eyebrows.
Yeah, and so again, we hope that we're inviting you to, open up a portal. God bless, especially if you, are experiencing some kind of challenge. And this goes the whole spectrum. This philosophy works for any insomnia, from the small, bothersome ailments, insomnia, heartburn, to acute conditions. There's an invitation somewhere in your chakra system to look deeper than what is physically manifesting.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right.
I absolutely love, in a healing, let's say, the concept of, what you talk about a lot of, like, seeing a person in perfection. And there is an element to, like, if we're open to considering that, like, yes, this is the materialized version of us. This is, like, the dentist portion of our major, who knows? Like, I don't even know. I picture, like, a flame, like, whatever else we are, which we clearly are, from our aura or etheric body. Or if we look at, let's say our physical body, but the version of our physical body that isn't physical, so our astral body, right? Like that type of body. Yes. And if there is, there's a relationship to as above, so below, right? So if there is a disconnect, a thing which we talked about in the chakra system, that's why it's manifesting. It's the as above, so below. However, that body is more, the astral body, is more malleable, is able to be impacted by holding a thought of perfection, by holding a vision of health or flexibility or peace or comfort on like a more mental level. I guess I'm going a little physical, but we can, like you said, like it goes across the board. So it's this really interesting, I think, like when we get into more like the heavier version of it, and the what a healer might do, or what you might do for yourself during meditation or visualization techniques or anything, is to see and focus on that astral body in perfection, in everything. You know what I'm trying to say there?
Absolutely. And I love that you're bringing that up. Of course, that's that second to third level, right? So we could look at the chakras on that first level and see the correlation between, the mind, the thoughts, the feelings, and what may be manifesting in the body. At that second level, we recognize that there's something more than the body, and we start tapping into that other, more, astral, cosmic, dimensional, vibrational, divine essence, and we start to realize that, as Lune says, it is perfection on those levels. We're imperfect in this environment for the sake of this experience, but there's different versions of us as we speak that are in complete knowingness and throttling on the vibration of perfection, of wholesomeness. And so when we trust and allow ourselves to open the portals to tap and bring that down, we can, which is what healers do. Well, I speak for myself, for us, you, right? But tap into those higher dimensions.
Maybe we'd say more advanced healers,
right?
Something like that. Not to be rude, but
right.
On a cosmic more level, I guess. Sorry.
Yes.
Interrupt you.
You're right. Let's just say we could speak for us, and
exactly.
Right.
That's a good way to say it.
That when we're working on the elements of the body, we see that perfection, and that's actually what we're bringing down. And so even if there is the evidence of malady, we see perfection. That's actually the integrity of shamanism work. Perfect already. And that's not Pollyannic to say like, oh, you know what, we're going to try to convince you that, and convince ourselves. No. In a higher dimensional state, that it is out of this realm, but can be here if we allow it, there is a perfect embodiment of our higher selves. And that again is probably one of the biggest invitations why there is this ease. So while it is challenging to be ill, one of the greatest invitations, I just saw let me see if I can remember his name. I'm terrible with names. I want to say Mark Nepo on Super Soul Sunday yesterday with Oprah Winfrey. I'm not, I don't always plug in, but I just happen to catch her. And he just released 2 amazing books and talking about disease. I just remembered this as we're speaking, actually. He was dealt with cancer, 2 different bouts of cancer. And, very cumbersome, and you've got to see the Super Soul Sunday yesterday on how beautiful he is, and the 2 books that he's released of the gifts that he received, and of course, God bless, he's well from these illnesses. But of course, we have someone who has awareness.
Right.
Did his awareness stop him from the struggle and the challenge? No. And yet, it opened up wider doors for his ascension. And so, that may be a little hard to hear at times, and I'm not suggesting that that things cannot shift, or that you cannot get better. What I am suggesting, though, is that sometimes we need to go through the eye of the needle. We need to go through the initiation.
Right.
Because through that initiation, we're going to discover such an amazing aspect of our higher self.
Right. I could see that, definitely.
Yes?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And even just on a lower level of that, but similar, the skills that you learn by looking what's happening at an emotional level. And then it's an experience that you now have and have mastered, let's say, or at least are aware enough of to like tap into it. And then when I meet with you and you tell me the same thing, because that's just how things happen, right? We attract people that way. I can say, oh, let me share my story with you, or let me write a book about it, or let me talk about it on a video, and it carries on. So I think I love what you're saying there. It's like this experience, this empathetic experience almost, or it's an experience that creates a level of empathy and mastery that can be passed on and shared to empower other people. So when they're facing that darkness or that fear or feeling out of touch with their body or whatever it is, that it's another validation of, yes, like you can handle this, you can get through it.
Absolutely.
Let's look here, let me give you this tool, let me inspire you. So
it reminds me also, and I guess it's allowed to name authors, right? It also reminds me of the amazing Anita Morgan. Anita Morgan, was in the limelight, I would say 5-6 years ago. What a story that one is. There is documentaries, there is documents to attest, videos to attest. She was in her deathbed, body riddled with tumors. Her family was called to saying their goodbyes. And she had an out-of-body experience during, I guess, her comatose state, and told that she needed to come back. Of course, she's a catalyst and a messenger and a healer, because she was told that she would come back. But during that process, many things were highlighted that she needed to reconcile with. So there it is.
Yeah.
She is an amazing, look her up, Anita Morgan. I want to say her book is called Dying to Be Me. Of course, bestseller, but it's her story. It is the fact that she needed to endure this acute dis-ease and illness, and come out full circle as an amazing messenger now that goes around the world, inspiring people. And it's her message that she had to follow herself, which was, but you need to clean X, Y, and Z.
Right.
You know? And so we have many testimonials out there. We look, at the fact that there is definitely a correlation between dis-ease and emotional root cause. But, we're getting into that third level, right? And, going full circle, I always get challenged, by people, deep compassion with these questions, by the way, of, well, I could see that, but how do you explain the infant who is born with an illness, or with the individual who's born paralyzed or blind? What's their story? Like they didn't experience any emotions. They didn't
do anything.
Or do anything.
Yeah.
And early on, I said 95% is emotionally driven, or could be correlated. Because to me, and this is very exclusive to me, but very radically, I stand firmly on this, is that other 5% is karmatic, in the sense that this individual, it reincarnated for something that it needed to experience, complete, and or to give. And what I mean by that is, and I don't believe, again, we've had many other discussions. I think that karma is a gift, that it's been misinterpreted. We do have to have the show on discussion on karma. Because people hear the word karma and say, like, oh my God,
it's coming to get bad.
Or what did she just say? That karma, like they were bad?
Yeah.
No, I did not. That karma doesn't mean that to me. Karma means a beautiful opportunity.
A lesson, you could say, or a
lesson, an experience. But I love an opportunity, because this is the soul deciding that it wants to excel and complete something that is incomplete in a previous life. And so we don't know. This is why we have to honor all souls, because we have no idea. I don't have no clue. Well, what do I do? But generally speaking, of, what the contracts and the completion, just like a report card, a soul has. So
pie, you called it one time, like a pie chart.
Exactly, the pie chart. Unless you're a seer and you're working with someone very intimately, we have no idea what that soul is completing, what it's completed, and what it still desires to complete.
Right, and what that experience from other people's perspective, triggers in them to carry forward in their life to help others or whatever.
There you go, and that's the magic. There you have it, the magic words, because as we look then at a beloved angel who comes into the world with some kind of challenge, of course, we're not saying it's heart-wrenching, it's sad, or it could be, of course, an amazing challenge. And yet, that soul is introducing itself in that fashion to help the soul family to grow, to have courage, to see their strength, to become an advocate. We don't know the many reasons why. But again, we need to honor that there are reasons why. There is no, I guess, I don't know, I guess that 95 didn't,
Right.
No, it goes the full spectrum.
I think that's a really hard one for people to hear when they're in that circumstance, and clearly with a child, like, obviously, but even people who we've talked about this before, I'm not sure here necessarily, but when our loved one leaves, when a loved one does cross over, regardless of, we can always chalk it up to, we can always feel like it wasn't fair, or it was too soon, or it wasn't the right time. And, God bless, like, I would not argue that, I would not argue that feeling of that. But if we can lovingly detach from our experiences and understand that there's so much more to us. Like, yes, that person might not be in this experience right here where you can touch them and, talk to them, like a regular conversation, but they're not gone. They're doing their work, and it's just the nature of this environment. It is fairly temporary, like, so
yes, so
it's just
perfect.
It's very difficult. Like, I for whatever reason, I can see that. Like, I can see the detachment. I can see that there's a bigger picture. I can see that. But I know a lot of people in that pain can't process that. And it's very hard to share and talk to them about that kind of thing, because it's like, it becomes like rejected. Like, no, there's no reason. Like, I've had a commenter before who, and I'm not, this is, with love completely, but saying how, like, they had lost a family member and there was no reason, and they had kids, and like you can't tell me there was a good in that. You can't tell me, like, well, listen, there was, though. There is something that comes around from that experience. And because we're limiting our thoughts perhaps, and we're so caught in our experience and our pain, that we can't invite the outside, what's coming from that. I've shared this before of, like, my mother passing and her husband being very distraught, and he was a lot younger than her, and within a couple months he had met someone and became, and they got pregnant, and he was going to be a dad. I'm not saying he traded one for the other, but he would not have had the experience of becoming a father had he not lost his wife. So it's just very good for us to all, when we're ready, or try to not force ourselves, but be open to the fact that this is something to think about. This is something that takes away a lot of pain when we can bring ourselves to this place of seeing this, like, expansive, this is an experience. There are so many lessons and strings, like spider webs working behind the scenes, So, like, as hard as it sounds to release that pain, or to release that anger or that frustration, because sometimes it feels like it's the only thing we have left of that person, is the,
you're absolutely right,
that tie.
Yes.
But when you can do that,
and a lot of people feel that if they let go of that pain, of that resentment, of that sometimes hate, right, that they're not keeping the person alive, they're not honoring them,
right,
and it is a damn shame. I'm gonna say it. It is a damn shame, and we honor. We have to honor everyone's right, and yet this is one of the reasons why we do these discussions, with the hope of inspiring, of inviting, because as a medium, and it's one of the reasons why I love to do the afterlife events. You recorded one, and it's beautiful, right?
They're beautiful.
It's amazing what happens in these afterlife events, and I will continue to do them because there is the validation for these broken souls. That's the shift. With
not the broken souls who have crossed over.
No. The broken souls, yes. Who have this pain, who have this,
loss,
emotional injury of loss, right? And suddenly hearing and getting up validations, and, frees them from all of this heavy energy to finally allow themselves to continue to live. And it validates that this is just a transitory experience, even though we should honor it. We should be fully present. We should be grateful and thankful that we're here. But this is not where it ends. this is just a step. It is just a step.
It's an I see it as not a game, but like a college.
Well, yes, I say, right? We're in different grades in school. You know why I don't like to, I like it and I don't, because school always infers or insinuates that we have to learn something, and I'm not about learning, even though we're learning every day, but it's about remembering,
getting back in touch,
reconnecting to us, to our truth, to our divinity, to our everlasting soul, and so we were bringing this sort of full circle. We just kind of lost the camera there for a moment. So yes, from the mind, the body, to the spirit, to listening to the body, the knocks on the on the door, right?
Yes.
And knowing that you have a choice, and can't be fear, but instead we'd like to invite you to add, what is it saying to me? What is this message?
Right.
What is this? Condition. It doesn't matter. A sprained ankle, a knee,
back,
what,
twitches, eye twitching, like all of it, all of it.
Matter.
Even the little things that seem like they're just kind of annoying, or they're going to process, like having that knowledge, that insight to say, what is this? Like recently I had this like back pain, and I never have back pain. That's not a thing for me. And it was like right in between my shoulders, and I was like, yeah, I'm taking on too much. Yeah, I need to I need to organize. Yeah, I need to and as soon as I started doing that and focusing on it, and even just meditating on that, like being able to focus, it hasn't come back, So I'm just trying those little things.
I'm so glad you said that, because as we're closing it, we already have our oracle deck here. We think of all these things that we could have said and shared. So what can you do? Well, get yourself a great book. You can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
Oh, this is a good one. I just got.
Great book.
This is from Julia Cannon. It's just, I use it like a little reference book. It's called Soul Speak, the Language of Your Body, and it just talks about, manifestations. I wanted to mention, and we didn't get to, but the like Chinese medicine in relation to the organs, let's say, like the liver and the anger. So if you feel a lot of anger, rage, or anything like that, sometimes a liver detox can be very helpful, as you're working to manage your anger, or the kidneys with
there's a lot,
right.
There's a lot that we could do to remedy the situation, from Chinese medicine to healings to crystals. And yet, the real resolution is going to be found in the emotional root cause. I always say, I love healings, and I love to offer them, but in it of themselves, they're a short fix. Because if the individual does not look at the emotional root causes why an ailment is knocking on the structure, then a healing is going to temporarily change that vibration, but over a period of time they're going to find themselves back to the same emotional pattern.
And you could say that for everything too, somebody who wants business or a relationship, like if you're not doing the work and looking and changing how you're acting, what you're doing, blah, 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 it's still not gonna carry over. It's still the work.
So we still need to do, there's no real shortcut. And I believe in miracles, miraculous, spontaneous healings. I do. And yet, the goal here is to do the process, to go through the process, to go through the work. I've written The Path That Leads the Way, The Path to Self-Realizations. Those are great books that also invite, that have a step-by-step sort of like pardon letters, love and leave detachment. There's certain principles that, forgiveness, that we should incorporate into our evolution. And, are they 100%? No. Are they close? Yes. Where we can shift our lives and not to act or react, where we then cause blockage that then can cause dis-ease.
Right. Yes? I think sometimes it's dealing with the uncomfortable when it's happening, like or something we might repress, instead of repressing it, let's deal with it, instead of creating that discomfort in our body or in a disease of some kind too,
It's very true. And yet, what I ask people all the time is, do you really want to experience the rest of your life with these suffering? Whether it's mentally, whether it's emotionally or physically. Do you want to spend the rest of your time in this life,
right,
ailing? And is it worth it for you to explore this avenue that has a great promise of being able to help you unleash a new version of you?
Yeah, I think that's such a good point too, because it's like, sorry, I know we're trying to wrap it up, but it's so hard. Sometimes we're so attached to our illness or our this or our that it becomes something we bond with people over.
Yes.
That it becomes a portion of our identity, and that's what we do, and we go to our doctor and we talk about this or
Absolutely.
And it's like almost, I won't say scary, but it's almost challenging. Then if we release that, then what am I? Then who am I?
Right.
And another thing that a healer does is hold that space so you can keep to form your identity, to get in touch with your identity. So there's it's a release and a fill, like you're bringing something in to fill the void.
You're absolutely right, by the way. And again, there's no right or wrong, because there are certain people that have turned their illnesses into their life's vocation. Appointments, therapies, and I'm not. This is what happens. But guess what? We're not talking to those people because they're probably not going to be open. We're talking to the individuals who have this thirst, or who have this feeling that I do want to get better. I don't want to be in this experience. I think I've tried everything, like this young lady that I saw who said, I've gone to all these doctors. I had no answer. Oh my goodness. She said to me, you saved my life. And it does feel that way, like you've been given a second chance when we are willing to explore. When we're willing to say, could there be more to this? And by the way, you know what? You're going to be the greatest gauge of this.
Right.
It sells itself, when we put this to practice. Yes?
Absolutely.
Give me 5, young lady, because that was a great conversation. Yes? Okay,
Wonderful.
So we have the Ascended Masters, almost like because we're doing... And so I think that because, I don't know, I was just got into this one, but because we're talking about dis-ease and energy, to the Ascended Masters oracle, have you ever worked with this deck?
No, I haven't. But one of my other teachers does bring it out a lot for our Reiki shares. So I have pulled it before, but not like worked with it.
Right. I don't use it often at all. Maybe once or twice a year, but for some reason it was sort of like maybe a connection to one of the deities, or a message.
Beautiful.
All right, young lady.
Okay.
So, you feeling ready?
Yep. Oh, fertility, Pan. All right. Well, to me, earthy, very earthy. I definitely see this connection to the body here, from what we're talking about, to pair this in. And he is I don't know him very well. I don't know him in this depiction. I usually see him as like a more goatee looking.
Pan is known very well to be connected to Kundalini, sexuality.
Yeah.
And a little bit more of the primordial side of that.
Okay.
But because it's fertility, I would definitely say an invitation to give birth to yourself. Ooh. To give birth another version of yourself. And while we're doing that, to recognize that it's passion, it's creative, and it should be fun.
Right.
It should encompass all of those energies.
I see him with a flute too, which makes me just think of like sound healing or frequency healing. And we can tie that into so many different things as well. But as you're working on this journey, like there was one time I was healing myself, and it was an emotional thing, but I was also doing an herbal cleanse, like paired in a diet cleanse, like a like a month or so. And part of it was understanding, and this was kind of a portion that triggered me getting in touch with my spirituality even more, was the meditations on, and they give you a little rose quartz too, which was so cute, but sending love and realizing that not only are the scents, the smells, and the stones, for their colors or light or sounds as their vibration, but our thoughts are also vibration. So it's just kind of like, I guess the sound or the music is kind of like leading me to just share with you guys that remember that your thoughts are things, and if you're thinking that you're sick or you need help or I need this, to like play into that. And I know it's fertility and it's not really like lining up with what it is, but
hey, listen,
I look at the pictures.
What you're receiving intuitively. So I love that.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. Pam, huh?
Yeah, I've never got him in the times I've used these. So I usually get like Kuan Yin.
He's a little mischievous.
That's what I was gonna say. Playful
depictions. He could be a little.
Yeah, not a trickster, but kind of a little bit.
Yes.
Interesting.
The spiritual law of attraction. Ooh, I love this.
Oh yeah, let me bring in. What? I never saw him in there.
Yes.
And look who I just got.
Ooh. Well, we know he's been around. Look at that.
I'm gonna bring him in a little.
The spiritual law of attraction. Wow. What a beautiful.
And this is the other one. Just to show.
Yes.
How funny.
The spiritual Melchizedek is an amazing cosmic teacher, and talking about connecting the dots earlier. Well, Melchizedek is in charge of the cosmic map, if you may, and helping us, navigate in direction and in strategy. So when I see this card in reference to the subject that we were just covering, well, first of all, spiritual law of attraction. Are we attracting this? Where are our thoughts? Lune said, in her card, what are we feeding? What are we fueling? Beautiful affirmations. I am well. I am perfect. I attract all that's beautiful. I deserve to wellness, wholeness, abundance, health, I'm feeling in this card, in order to help align yourself in that highest space of ascension, of wellness, of being able to see your perfection, perhaps using a geometric piece, a pendant, a grid, a Merkaba, a pyramid,
a shell,
a cube, for restoration. In my Facebook page today, I actually put one of my own cards from the blessings, and it was restoration, and I'm feeling that here.
Yeah.
Powerful card, by the way. I'm like,
yeah. No, I'm gonna take a look at him.
Sorry, went on and on with that one.
Oh, beautiful. No, definitely, I see that. And it's like a mastery. It's like creating, like when we talk about the grid, even as an example, build, if you like crystal grids or leaves or flowers or drawing. It doesn't have to, necessarily, but my health, my well-being, my this, and like paint it in, right?
I'm laughing because you took a peek at a card that you had because you're putting away, and it was Thoth. And we've been talking about Thoth a lot, and I was sharing with you how he's been telling me, like, discipline. And now I see Melchizedek as you're talking about, and it's like strategize,
ritual, get it down, focus.
He's about the geometry of things, about getting it perfected. So
down to like the hairline, like a centimeter or whatever, right?
So anyway, we really hope, we're really happy to deliver this discussion today, and we really invite you to share your comments with us, your thoughts. We'd love to hear if this resonated with you. We spoke about a lot of things today, right? It's chakras, and so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Of course, at the bottom of
the description.
The description. There's information on how you can find Lune Innate. And this was wonderful.
Yeah, this was great.
Right?
Hope you enjoyed.
As always, we leave you with our love, with our light, and with our peace. We hope that you enjoyed this, and we love you very, very much.
Have a beautiful day.
Thank you for tuning in.
Okay, bye.